What's up, everybody? Greg Chapman with the Gentleman Gorilla Small Business Marketing Podcast. And today we are here with Dylan Welch of Dylan Welch Media and the Going Green Show that focuses on sustainability within business culture. Can you tell us more about who you are and what you do?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Awesome setup. Love
Thank
it. Love the
you. Thank
hospitality.
you.
Appreciate the coffee. It's key to a good podcast. You got to get the energy
Yeah.
up. But yeah, really, to sum things up, I have more of a background in television production and distribution.
Okay.
And about a year ago, I just kind of took a step back from what I was doing in the day to day and just, saw all these trends that are happening from movies going to Netflix and streaming and people cutting their cables and radio going, more streaming on Spotify and all this. And I'm just like, there's a major disruption happening in the media world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I can either stay what I'm doing right now, which is not advancing with the times, stick with my day job and collect a paycheck, which I hated anyway. So I was like, screw it, I'm quitting. Started my own company about 9 months ago, and it's a media marketing company. So we do a lot of podcast production, video production, marketing campaigns, digital media, all that stuff. And then I still took some of my knowledge about the television world, applied it to the show Going Green, which is
Okay.
streaming on Amazon Prime, and basically alongside me not wanting to work in just the television worlds, I just saw, other trends outside the media industry, like just climate change, sustainability being really important to things I care about, and wanted to kind of use my knowledge of the media world and apply it to that. And
Okay, just to kind of spread the word and
yeah,
share stories. And
exactly. Like honestly, I mean, I say like I had this epiphany. Really, I just went home for Christmas and I was back home and I was like, what am I doing with my life? And had to like totally figure it out. But I mean,
right?
it all worked out. Yes.
It's
Tones
okay.
down.
That's what mixers are for.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was just like, I was working in the television world. I was a producer. It's what I went to school for. It's what I wanted to do. But um, again, I was just like, is this really what I want to do? What can I do to, I want to do something that makes me happy, feel fulfilled, like I'm giving back. I don't want to just collect a paycheck and make someone else rich and just,
Yeah.
go through the processes. So went through that, and then now just running my company and doing a lot of podcasts, a lot of digital media stuff. I mean, it's changing so rapidly, like every
It
single
is.
day. So that's why I think it's cool that you're doing this. It's super smart. I don't even have a podcast of my own, and yet I'm telling everyone to go have a podcast. But it's been cool. So again, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, I absolutely love it. So a little bit of backstory. Dylan and I actually met about 10 months ago,
Yeah.
right before you quit your job. I used to help produce a show called Boss Battles, which is an
Hmm.
entrepreneur game show.
Yeah.
And then we were looking for a new studio. We'd done about 14 or 15 episodes that we produced, all super low budget, wherever we could. And then we were coming in and talking to you about filling up the space. We had a great deal worked out. Like, you really understood the vision of the show. And then one day you're like, listen, guys, I'm sorry, but I got to do my own thing. Like, I'm out.
Yeah. It was.
And then the whole thing fell apart.
Yeah. It was kind of
But,
crazy.
like the things that you talked about, you really showed that you had a knowledge and foresight about where the media market and content sharing was going.
Mhm.
And we were really excited about that because you were one of the first people that we talked to that actually got that.
Mhm. Well, I was pumped because Boss Battles was and is a sick show and a sick show idea. I do hope you guys can get it together. It was just unfortunate timing,
We're
but
hoping.
that's how life is. And I mean, it's just funny how, especially in San Diego where we are, like the media industry is, it's obviously not as big as LA, but there's still some, there's some people in here who do big, cool
Yeah.
things. And that's what was cool about what you guys were doing. You had big goals and, really ambitious dreams for it, and you were making it come together. So I think that's what kind of brought us together. And here we are, talking
Yeah.
about it 9 months later. So I feel like another 9 months from now, or 2 years, or 5 years, whatever it is, I'm sure we'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
running the San Diego media game and
I
thinking
mean,
back on this podcast.
we already
right
are.
now.
We're the next
Yeah,
wave, man.
exactly.
Like the people, there's not a lot of people on the front edge, like doing the podcast. doing the interview questions, just grabbing a DSLR and a mic and going out and interviewing influential people. Like really where I saw a huge market for just reinvesting in the community of small business is with the SD Voyager mag. I don't know if you've seen those. Everyone
Yeah.
gets the articles written about them, which
Yep.
really they write themselves. And
Yeah.
then,
Oh, 100%.
but it's a phenomenal marketing tactic for SD Voyager mag because at the bottom, you fill it out. They make it look like they wrote an article about you, and like
give
they're
us
featuring
5
you.
more leads.
And then they
of
get
other-
5 more leads,
Yeah.
and then they email all of
Super
those, and they're
smart.
like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you were recommended as an influential," which only people that are influential people are being recommended. So it is still
Exactly.
legit. Like they're
Yeah.
awesome, but it's a tremendous marketing tactic, and it really showed me that there's a huge place in the market for just sharing people's stories. Like when I shared my story, I expected, maybe like a handful of likes, like my mom to like it, a couple close friends. That went off. It was like one of the top posts I've ever had in my life. Like everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's sharing so much truth."
Yeah.
And I've seen that be consistent with every person that makes one of those. Like as long as they're pretty open and honest, like in it. And so bringing that to podcast, which is the next kind of frontier, or just interview videos, small marketing videos in general, like that is the next frontier.
Exactly. I think what's cool about podcasts, I kind of call it like you're on the offensive when it comes to your marketing. You're not sitting back and being like, "Oh crap, I got to make an about me video and put it on my website." Like that's dead now. Like
Yeah, you
that's
got
in
to
the
give
past.
value to your listeners.
Exactly,
You
like-
can't be asking for things anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Like you're gonna take this. It's filmed. It's recorded. You're gonna put it out on all these different places. I'm pumped to be here, so I'm gonna share it with my network. And all of a sudden, with this 30-minute conversation, you're gonna have all this different marketing content that one, we're hopefully entertaining people that are listening and providing value
Yeah.
and sharing that, but also you're putting yourself out there as a thought leader in your space. And then me being here, boost my ego. I'm pumped to be here, so I'm gonna go out there and do the same
Yeah,
thing.
and I can't wait to be on your podcast whenever you make yours.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be the first guest. But it's super smart, and honestly, if you're listening, we were just kind of talking before this, and really what we were kind of talking about was basically there's so many websites. Like 10, 15 years ago, if you had a website, you were kind of the cool kid on the block, and you're the leader. Now, if you don't have a website, it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Right now is the time where if you have a podcast, you're kind of the new leader in your space. A couple of years from now, everyone's going to have it. So if you're listening and you're interested in doing one, get out and do it. It's not that expensive. Like, I mean,
It's
this is a good setup here, but if you really wanted to, you could do it with your iPhone microphone and put it out there.
You really can. Like, I mean, especially, you can even do it with video on your phone, on your camera, on your
Exactly.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Like, you can get like a $30 directional mic. Or, honestly, I don't even know shit about mics. Like, I don't even really know a lot.
I mean,
I still, like, it's just
yeah,
buy the kit, put it together.
Exactly. I mean, I tell people, as long as it's not horrible, like a podcast shot on your phone is going to be better than not doing a podcast at all. If you have a business and you set something up, if you stick your phone right in front of you and you talk into it for 30 minutes and you're sharing helpful information, sure, it might not be as crisp as, these microphones, but at least you're putting it out there. It's better than not putting anything out there at all. And if you're not doing that, then you're basically done for.
I mean,
as a
it's
business.
just taking that step towards doing it. Like I didn't start with the podcast. I started with doing kind of the informative videos. Like we kind of tried to structure them to be like a little conversationalist, so they weren't super salesy because no one likes that. I don't like that. But then that turned into let's see what it takes to start a podcast, and then.
Yeah.
Like, I'm lucky with some years of video production experience. Like, it was pretty easy for me to put together. But I can definitely see how it would be very daunting for somebody to do that. Which, by the way, if you want to hire either one of us to tell you, you can pay us to set up a podcast for you.
Exactly.
Or produce it for you. You can come here.
Hire us
He's
both.
got a studio. Yeah, we'll both come work for you.
Exactly.
You get double trouble.
Yeah, we'll kill it. Just know that.
There's no way your podcast won't take off if you hire both of us.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Shameless plug right there.
Yeah, shameless plug. Guys gotta eat.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Like the other thing I'm seeing too, and what we're doing right now is like it's conversational, it's casual. It's not that hard sell, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, it's just like, oh, I'm going to tune in and I'm going to put this on the background as I'm getting ready for the day or as I'm driving. Like, no one's going to tune into a 1 minute about me, about my company's services video for 1 minute on their drive to work. But that's what podcasts are good for. So it's just overall like a shifting of media creation and how people are consuming it. And like, even the other day, I had a client who we set up the green screen and he was doing these like 1 minute, really like, hey, thanks for that meeting. Here's a
Yeah.
wrap up. And he was struggling to get through it. And I'm like, dude, honestly, like, let's just start a fucking podcast. Like, what's the point of these anyway? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
obviously, you don't feel comfortable memorizing and regurgitating these lines that you're going to send to your clients.
Oh
Like, that's
yeah.
not your style. You're a friendly, nice guy. That's why your business is
Yeah.
booming.
It's
So
like
let's
I
use
I
that.
stopped writing scripts with people intentionally a few years ago
Hmm.
because one thing I learned pretty quickly was that small business owners are not professional actors.
Hmm.
And
As much as they
so
think some of them do.
yeah,
Yeah.
so they know their shit,
Hmm.
but they don't know how to recite lines naturally.
Hmm.
So a little tip for anybody out there: don't make a script if you're making a video. Just write down bullet points and keywords
Hmm.
that you want to hit. And then just for the whole day before it, every hour, 2 hours, just look at your bullet points and keywords. And then you just say it. And then you press record on the camera and just go. And if you fuck up, deep breaths and then just go again. And then just say
Yeah.
it until it feels natural, but make it you.
Speak
Don't
from
read
the
a
heart.
script. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It makes such a big difference. And that's, I mean, ultimately, like for any marketing of your business, and it really not just marketing your business, but for your own personal happiness, like just be yourself. You know, don't try to be someone else. If you're memorizing lines, that means that, you know, it's probably not what you would say naturally
No.
in that place. So say, be yourself and people respect that and want to work with that, honestly, I think. Like, I think there's a huge want to work with people that you genuinely enjoy being around. Like for me, all my clients that I work with, and I try to do this on purpose, is work with people that I feel really comfortable
Mm-hmm.
being totally myself, totally open. I can give them, constructive criticism, and they won't be like, "Fuck you, I'm dropping you." It's like, "Oh, cool, thank you." Like
Yeah.
you genuinely mean that, and that it makes them better because what they're creating gets better. It makes my life happier because I enjoy being there, and I'm not like, "Oh, this project blows. Like, what am I doing?" And it's just it's this like spiral of goodness in a sense, and everybody wins from it. So yeah, be yourself, kids out there.
Right. Yeah. So maybe get we went on a real hard marketing tangent
Yeah,
there.
seriously.
I'm not
Let's.
against that. I love that.
We're,
But so I want to hear more about your story though.
mhm.
So up until 9 months ago, had you ever had your own business before?
Yeah, so I actually, it's a long, crazy story. I don't know how far you want to go back, but basically, how deep do you want to get in
I
this?
mean, I think we can cliff notes up until a couple years ago, and then anything that's going to be kind of super relevant.
So long story short, I went to college for film, television production, and my first semester in college, I was like, I didn't save any money, and I want to hang out with my friends, and I want to go eat, and I don't want a part-time job because it pays 6.75 an
Mm-hmm.
hour. What can I do that like can make me money? And I spent every dollar I had, $900 at the time, to get a website up. And at the time, 10 years ago, like a fancy website, and it wasn't just like
Yeah.
HTML, basically
'Cause
made you
you
legit.
didn't have Wix. WordPress was just
Yeah,
getting started and still a pain in the ass to work with.
exactly.
Like
So I
you had to actually build it.
Dude, I mailed a guy $900 cash, which was like so stupid because if it got lost or opened, there goes my entire life savings. Luckily, it made it. This guy made me this awesome website, and as a 18 or so year old having this really flashy website, people didn't know I was 18. I would sort of send professional emails from behind, the
Uh-huh.
website, and I can talk pretty well on the phone, and landed like a couple gigs that were able to kind of get me through. And I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. I'm like getting paid to film stuff and um, like legitimate organizations hiring me and like, not anything like, duffel bag retirement money, but like 5, 6, $700 here and there for a college kid
That's
is
a
like
lot.
pretty sweet.
I was just talking with my business partner earlier about like remembering back to being like 21. Be like sometimes like you wouldn't eat for like a day. Somehow you got drunk for like the last 3 nights in a row. But then you're like, I need to eat, and then you're like looking through the couch cushions again.
Yep.
Like, do we have enough to buy like a loaf of bread?
Yeah.
Like,
Straight. Yeah, it's hard, and I mean that's just a whole other problem with like the education system is you go into it and get into debt, but that's a whole other podcast we'll talk about later. But yeah, so that's kind of where I figured out, like, it was never like I'm going to start a business. Like it never was that. I was just like, how can I make money right now to live? And then I graduated from college. I did some traveling and stuff, and then I moved to San Diego basically on a whim, one-way ticket.
I feel like that's a lot of people in San Diego.
Yeah,
Like, I need to go somewhere. Where's badass? San Diego's badass.
exactly.
There's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's just like, all right, fuck it.
It was it was crazy. I was dating this girl. She broke up with me out of nowhere. So I was like, all right, I don't have a job. I'm living in my parents' house. I was just traveling for like 2 years, living this like crazy backpacker life, and now I'm like back in my parents' basement. And I had 2 friends who lived in San Diego. I'd never been here before. And I put in their address in Google Maps, and I have no idea at the time like where this was in relation to San Diego, but they lived like 2 houses down from each other in Pacific Beach, and these 2 people did not know each other. So I was like, all right, I know these 2 friends of mine. If all else fails, I can crash on their couch for a couple of months and throw them a couple $100 and get a nice little vacation and go figure something else out. And bought the one-way ticket, came out here, and just kind of been like working, hustling, growing ever since, and then got a couple jobs at different production companies, learned the more of the legitimate business side of video production, marketing, media, and then when I was running my own company about 2 years ago, I got essentially this offer from Ignite Now Media, the company that we met at, where they basically said, hey, we'll pay you to come work for us. Tough decision giving up your business to do that, but went for it, and it was good while it lasted, and good opportunities came, but eventually just got ready to go back to doing my own thing, and here we are today. So that's kind of
Okay.
there's some details here and there, but that's kind of the gist of it.
So yeah, so when you were getting ready to like cut the cord of the steady paycheck, like you knew what you were getting into. Like you'd been there before.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I'd actually done when I very first moved out here because I needed something just to like sustain myself. I got a job at a production company, so they were it was the same thing. Their paycheck, not a lot of pay at all, but it was at least something. And then once I kind of got a little bit of some savings, I had like 3 months of saving at the time, so I was like, all right, that's enough for me to go do this. And then so yeah, I mean that's a really hard thing to do. Just if you're out there and your job sucks and you want to start a business, like my best advice is don't settle for working at a shitty place because it will just kill you and eat your soul, and it sucks. And it's really hard to make that jump from fully employed to running your own business. And it's really hard for those first couple months, but your happiness level and just your overall life, like in every way, gets so much better. And cutting toxic people out of your life and toxic environments will change everything and open up new opportunities that you never never thought existed.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah.
It's amazing how when you find yourself on your own path that there's just less room for all of the bullshit. Because you have more intention every day, I feel like. Like that what you're doing, everything that you're doing is for the benefit of your own life and like the people in your life. So you become much more selective. And it's like, it doesn't make you like anybody less, but it definitely makes you more just conscious of your time, I guess, and the results that come from putting energy into certain places and people and situations.
Exactly. You touched on something really important there, which is basically when you're in a really stressful 9 to 5, that consumes you, and you go home and you're stressed and you're depressed and you can't, exercise, you don't have time to go to the grocery store, so you're eating unhealthy. It really leads to this spiral of negativity, and it's all kind of stems from that. And then when you pull yourself out of that, you realize like, oh, jobs and careers aren't even like the most important thing. Like really,
No.
we've been talking about business, but that's, you know, it's a portion of my life, but like it's not the main focus of my life.
Hmm.
Like I focus on friendships and going out and like enjoying my time in San Diego and like my relationships and enjoying life a lot
Yeah,
more, you know?
it really gives you, it takes it from like having work and then not work and turns it into just really being in a position to just live your life. Like sometimes you got to work a lot in your life,
Hmm.
and sometimes you it's time to play or have fun or relax or sleep or
Yeah.
but when you're working for yourself, you're not really working for yourself. You're just living your life. Like,
Hmm.
like sometimes you got to earn, sometimes you got to spend.
Exactly.
But it's your own balance. It's how
Hmm.
much work do you want to put in? It's like not everyone needs a fat bank account. Sometimes people are just like, you know what? I'm happy making 1,500 a month because that pays my bills, and then I
100%.
get to go surfing every day for 3 hours.
Hmm.
Eat healthy. Like it's enough. Like
Dude, my my best friend, he moved out to San Diego too, and he got a job working at a financial advisor's office. Totally not his style, and like suit and tie, hated it. One day he basically was just like, "Fuck this, dude. I'm gonna go teach English in Vietnam." And I talked to him today. He's in Vietnam. His rent is $120 a month, and he
yeah,
teaches. He gets paid $20 an hour to teach English, so he'll teach for about 2 days of the month and have enough money to cover his bills. And he has 28 days to do whatever the hell he wants to do. And I'm like, wow, that's a really like what's
yeah.
like it's just like what you said. Like you don't need to, obviously there's people out there who want to, chase the money and stack that, and that's great. Like do what makes you happy, and if that makes you happy, great. But that's not the end all be all.
Yeah,
Like
that's not everybody's goal,
exactly,
you
yeah.
know?
And I don't think enough people like talk about that, especially in the self-employed, the gig
Mm-hmm.
world. You always see people like flexing on Instagram, and it's like, I started my own business and now I make 100,000 a month. It's like, dude,
Cool.
yeah, like that's great, but if I can pay my rent, save some money, pay my bills, and enjoy my life, like, and I'm
Yeah.
stress free, relatively speaking, like that's, really you can't ask for much more than that,
Yeah.
honestly.
It's like me personally, I'm not motivated by the money. Like I know what the money will get me,
Hmm.
but like I've my whole life I've not my whole life, but for a large part of my life, I've always just wanted to run a big marketing company.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm just building a big marketing company because that's what I think is fun. Like it's my challenge.
Hmm.
So it's like I'm gonna put in that work to make that happen, but that's my pleasure.
Exactly.
Like I love, like I grew up snowboarding, skiing, playing sports. I'm trying to learn to surf, like all of that stuff. I love all that, but that's not like my end all be all. Like every day I wake up, I'm like, what do I need to do to grow my business more?
Hmm.
But like the people that also, and it's one of the beautiful things about San Diego is it's not easy to live here. If you can make it work, respect. And whether or not your lifestyle is just stacking cash, building a big business, or just working enough to be able to surf and take mushrooms and smoke weed every day,
Yeah.
like respect,
Do what
because
makes you
you're
happy.
doing your life exactly
Hmm.
how you want to
Yeah.
do it.
Are you from San Diego?
Denver,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Sweet. How long have you lived here?
5.5 years.
Okay. So when did you move here? That's like the exact same as me.
Fuck. So that'd be 2015, I think, or 2014 in May.
Okay. So
So it'll
yeah,
be
you
six
came a
years in
little
May.
bit earlier. Yeah, I came in November 2015. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. Like, and I mean, we were talking before this, and you were doing all this other crazy stuff that I had not even thought about with my business. I'm like, oh shit, like you're doing some cool, like just all the, and I mean, you can talk about it if you want to, but like the streamlined digital processes they are putting in place are crazy, like
Oh
next level
yeah.
stuff. It's super cool.
It's I mean it goes back to like you said earlier, the world of digital marketing is changing so rapidly that it's almost as fast as you get caught up, as
Hmm.
you learn the new edge, one of the big players is changing their algorithm,
Hmm.
or the public is getting aware of whatever tactic is being
Yeah.
used and changing their mindset. And it moves so fast that um, that it's just really hard to keep up with.
Dude, what I think is crazy, and I never even thought about this until you just mentioned it, but at this point in time with technology, it's basically impossible to keep up.
Hmm.
I mean, unless you're at the absolute forefront of Facebook and Instagrams and YouTube and Google's like algorithm driving, creating team, we're all basically at the disposal of them and being like, oh shit, what do they do? Oh
Hmm.
crap, okay, now we got to do this, now we got to do that. So that's what's crazy. Um, you're never keeping, you're never you're just always keeping up basically. But
Exactly.
what's really cool about that is if you're smart, you can sort of see what trends are kind of coming and work your business around that,
Exactly.
which is really crazy.
And that's why we've decided to kind of restructure from like a marketing company to a resource center.
Hmm.
Is that like we found that we're not actually doing a lot of the marketing in house, but we've partnered with lots of different companies that specialize in different things. So basically, the idea is that everything digital marketing, if it's digital, it's run by a program, it's run by coding, which means there's rules to it, which means there's loopholes, which means there's another program or system that can win in that scenario, in that situation, based upon what the business needs. So we've become professionals at finding the solutions for those problems, you know? So we're able to take and move on the fly with like, all right, so because we're also content creation, so we're able to see, even if we're not the ones creating the content, we understand it. So we're able to see the content, see the results coming in, and then craft the content based upon what the back end programs are telling us is working in real time. And if
Nice.
something's not working, we can switch it up because we're not in such a deep rut of like, this is what we do, these are our skills. We're able to just, it's like a toolbox, be like, all right, this isn't working, different tool, like which
Yeah.
tool is going to work here and what do we change, because you got to be able to keep up on the fly.
Hmm.
And there's all these resources out here. There's thousands, tens of thousands of different companies that specialize in one specific thing in digital marketing. You just got to be able to find them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you probably see this, and you guys are. It sounds like you're kind of working a solution around this. But every time I want to do something, it's like, oh, I have to pay $12.99 for this
Mm-hmm.
random website service that does this. Okay, cool. Now I'm doing that, and then I want to do this, and I got to pay another one, $29.95. I'm like, do the math. I'm like, dude, how many friggin' subscription services am I just paying for these days? It's
Death,
crazy.
death by nickel and dime.
Yeah.
I can tell you a personal story from our business is that took us under in a bank account in a bad way, and it was really
Hmm.
hard to pull out because we have all these programs that are being pulled like $10, $40,
Hmm.
$200, like anywhere in there. And then you dip your toes, your business loses cash flow for a second, you dip your toes, and then that paired with like overdraft fees,
Yeah.
like that just destroyed us because we needed all the programs to keep running,
Hmm.
but we also couldn't keep up. So we had to work our way out of that, and that one was a pain in the ass.
Yeah. It's
But
hard.
it's just the little payments will kill you, and you got to
Hmm.
stay on top of
Yeah,
it.
seriously. And that's, I mean, not just that's both business and personal too, like
Yes,
not that
'cause
I should not that I can talk about like personal finances, but if you ever like just scroll through your bank account, I'm like, shit, I'm paying for Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime. All right, so
yeah, right.
but do you have any solutions? Like let's say someone's listening, they've got a small business, not marketing because we're the only two marketing companies allowed in the world,
Yeah,
but another
exactly.
company, and they know they need to be creating this content, putting it out there. What like advice do you have for them so that they don't fall into the I got to pay for this and I got to do this and it just spreads them too thin?
So make a calendar and
Hmm.
just purely for your auto pull bills, and then put it up, and every month you look at it and and then do it per day and then like per week. So every week how much is getting pulled, and then break it down to days. Like every day I need to have this much in my account.
Hmm.
And that's been the only solution. And I can't say that I'm great at following that solution yet, but it's what's been at least help keep me mindful of what's coming next.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Just I mean, even at the like basically just tracking it really is
Hmm.
just know what you're paying for. And what about
And also, I know everyone's moving to digital tracking systems, but unless you actually go into your phone, open up the app, and look at it, then you're never going to see what's due. So like I recommend writing it out on a piece of paper and like putting it like in your kitchen or in your office or something,
Yeah.
something that you can actually glance at every day.
It's a good idea. So, I mean, we're also marketing companies, so we probably are signed up for more than the average just to dip into, little services and whatnot. But um, what would you say, is the number one thing someone should be doing to utilizing the tools that are out there and maximizing it to get their business, their brand um, out there, whether it's on a local scale, national scale, international scale?
So the first thing that every business needs to do is do an audit of your digital presence and figure out where your business is and is not properly listed online, because they're one of the easiest things to do to boost your SEO is just make sure that you're findable as many places as possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's things like Tesla has its own search engine. So if you're in a Tesla and using the touchscreen, it's not using Google, it's not
Mm-hmm.
using Apple, they're using their own search engine. So if you're
Wow.
not intentionally listed with Tesla, somebody driving around in a Tesla, like if you have a bar around the corner, and they type
Won't
in
find
bar,
it.
they will not see you, even though you're on Google and Apple and
Mm-hmm.
all of that.
Wow.
So intentionally finding that, we found that that is one of the biggest things, especially with like location-based businesses, is
Mm-hmm.
just getting listed. Make
Yeah.
yourself searchable. Like spend the time or the money and just get it done.
That's true. I mean, honestly, I was on all my company was on all these social media platforms, obviously, and then I took the time to really set up like Google My Business,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, Google obviously just drops all these analytics on you, and once it took a good amount of time to get it all set up, and you have to, verify a bunch of stuff and your address and this and that, and it took probably 2 3 weeks to really make it legitimized.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, dude, I could really be spending my time better. But then once I set that up, and then I'd click into like, Google My Business and looking at those analytics, I'm like, wow, I was probably missing, couple
Yeah.
hundred people a month just clicking at my website just by Googling, local production companies in San Diego and things like that. So
That's exactly
it's
it.
crazy how that can make actually a huge difference, and not even just not realizing it is a big deal, but it actually kind of is if you're not on, I know people who are like still not on Facebook or Instagram, and it's like, dude, it takes 10 minutes. And I mean, if you're
Mm-hmm.
listening to a podcast, you're probably on these social media platforms, but they're those kind of ancillary ones that you don't really think about, but it does make a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as far as like being findable, the second thing I would tell people is to use hashtag research tools actively, at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Go through and make sure that your hashtags for all your posts are the most effective hashtags to be using for your area. And then to try to get creative and don't do all the hashtags with big followers. Try and do like a couple with big popular ones, but a lot of them try to find like the middle range to like lower quarter
Mm-hmm.
for like numbers, because then you'll actually like stay relevant in the feed
That's a good idea.
versus because like you'll see like a post with 100,000 tags over time or one with 10 million. Like the 10 million one's cool and a lot of people are going to look that up, but you're going to fall off that feed 10 times faster than the one with 100,000.
It's true.
So it's really kind of playing a balance a little bit between the two,
Yeah.
but you definitely want to be conscious of, think about it like what matters, how much do you stand out in a small pool versus a big pool?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean, that's we were talking about that too beforehand with podcasts. Is just nowadays, obviously, it helps having a big audience, but like so many people too are caught up with numbers and followers and this and that. It's like with a podcast or really with anything, you don't need to have a million followers to drive your business. If you can get 100 listeners, but like we're saying, if all 100 of those people buy your product, then so it's really kind of focusing less on the
yeah.
kind of getting past the glamour of the numbers, like the big numbers, and identifying the important quality numbers to get in front of.
I absolutely agree with you. And I think that that kind of comes back to earlier we were talking about like why people are really enjoying like the podcast or the open, honest type of discussions, like the morning show type of things, is because social media has been such a, I don't know, a farce of truths over the past 10 years that people became professional at manipulation and clickbait. And so now people are craving honesty and
It's true.
openness. And so a podcast or an open conversation forum kind of makes it hard to be full of shit. And so people are just getting that sense of community, of being included, and then pairing that with like research on topics to talk about, and all of that makes you be able to get it out. But what you're doing is by pairing those two, is you're creating an intentional community around your brand, and you're finding the people that already have aligned values with your brand, so that you're not marketing to everybody. You're intentionally marketing to people that already like things like you. So you're always trying to find people like you for your business. And so it's like you said, if you can create 100 loyal followers that'll buy everything you have, you can have a successful business and a profitable lifestyle.
Dude,
That's all it takes.
that's the soundbite right there. If you're listening, that is some serious, valuable information. I mean, well, if you think about it this way, like going back a couple minutes, media was 100% manipulation, especially the mass media
Borderline is just
conglomerates.
evil sometimes.
Like whether, no matter what political spectrum you land on, like CNN or Fox News, they're both just using
They're pushing an agenda.
highly specified words to get you to click more. And that worked like up until a certain amount of time, until we all realized it's a bunch of bullshit and everyone's just pushing out fake stuff
Until immediately
get your
post Trump
clicks.
and Hillary was when that came out, and it was
Yeah.
like, we are being manipulated by all of
Exactly.
this.
And I think that's what's great about, podcasts, and I mean, Facebook kind of falls into those, and Instagram does too, but at least it allows you, individuals to have the voice, put content out there, and then as a consumer, it's up to you to sift through all the bullshit, find, your sort of little community like you mentioned, and
Yeah.
get good, valuable information from them, and,
Yeah.
hopefully it's
That's
not a
it.
shitty
Find your
community,
community
but
and then just support the fucking shit out of
yeah,
them.
exactly.
Like find 10 people, find one person, then be like, what can I do for you every
Yeah.
day? And one person will turn into five into 10, and do that same attitude.
Yeah.
And then as you grow your followers, then you grow your team so that you can keep providing the same amount of service, and then they'll find your people for you.
Yeah.
But you just got to keep investing all your time into your own community, just over and over. Give them exactly what they want. Feed them.
Yeah.
Make them fat on your sales language.
And they'll be like,
You know?
here's my money.
Yeah, I mean, there's a new national microeconomy coming from people running side gigs, part-time businesses, at-home businesses, all of this, because nationally there's a shortage of income and expenses are still going up. People are starting to wake up and see that, like, oh
Yeah.
shit, like my job's not going to take care of me. I got to take care of myself. And they're starting to wake up and see the opportunities on the internet and through the internet, and to be able to run their own businesses and make their own money, their side hustles. So making $500 to $3,000 a month is life changing to a lot of people for being able to
Exactly.
work a few hours every night.
Yeah, I mean, I have employees who they have full-time jobs, and they just don't make enough money. And
Yeah.
I mean, I saw this meme, and like side hustle is kind of like a cool term for being like, hey, I can't afford my bills, so I have to work like other shit, which is
Yeah.
kind of true. I mean, it's awesome if you are doing a side hustle, like you got to pay your bills, but also that's just, the reality we live in. And I think more and more people will start to realize, like, yeah, your boss is trying to squeeze every penny they can for their business, for them, because that's why they started it, and trying to get as much as they can out of you for the least amount of money. And either you can feed into that, and don't get me wrong, like, so much respect for anyone hustling, doing anything, like,
Yeah.
no matter what you're doing, like, work hard, and be proud of whatever you're doing. But
True words.
it's like, if you feel that urge and you feel kind of that pull, and not everyone has it, but some people do, and it's just like something in your heart that's like, this doesn't feel right. If that like hits close to home, then pull the cord and go and make your side hustles into your full-time hustle, and you'll be working for your own, and you'll be building your own thing. And I mean, I think that's what you were really touching
Yeah.
on, is like, going back to what you're saying, is you built something up yourself out of nothing, and you're proud of it, and you work on it every day, and it's kind of like it's like a sandcastle. It's like it's hard to get it started. I don't know why I picked sandcastle, but we're in San Diego.
We're going with it.
But it's like you got to mold it and you get it started. But then once it's up and building, it's just like, all right, cool. I just got to make sure like the edges are smooth and it's running, and then that's all it really takes, you know. So
It's
a crazy
funny
world.
you use sandcastle for building that because I use an analogy called I call it like just like ring of dirt analogy. So it's about creating your community for long-term success versus investing in just yourself for your own personal success. So um, basically, like if you're just investing in yourself, it's easy to create wealth just for yourself. Like you can go out, it's really easy to take from people. It's really easy to cheat and steal or just con people into giving your money to build a business around that and be like, we're just going to make a bunch of money really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But like think about that like stacking bricks like end on end. You get really high really fast. Anything come along anytime, knock it all down, you got to start over.
Mm-hmm.
But so I imagine you've like dug a hole before or any dirt ever.
Yeah.
So like when you take a shovel full of dirt and throw it in the pile, what happens?
The
Like
hole gets bigger and
so what happens on the
dirt
hill?
pile gets bigger.
So but how does the hill get bigger?
Oh, it like stacks up like a cone kind of.
Yeah, so it trickles down to the sides, it gets wider and then it gets taller.
Yep.
So imagine your business is you're going out and every time you help somebody achieve success in something, you're taking a shovel full and you're bringing it back and you're building a ring of dirt around you.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the middle. Every time you help somebody, is your ring around you. So what happens is inevitably the edges are going to be taller than you always, but inevitably it's always going to trickle down and you're going to raise yourself up along with everybody. And then some comes along from all directions, like you're a lot more stable because some comes through, knocks out part, dirt collapses on itself, fills in. Like, so if you think about it one shovelful at a time, don't stack your bricks, take a shovel. Like just add to your ring of dirt.
Yeah.
Terrible analogy. I know it's weird, but I love it. For
No,
some
it's
reason
good,
it
man.
makes
It makes
sense,
sense.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Build that ring of dirt.
Just it takes a longer time. The people around you are going to achieve success before you, but at the same time, your success is more inevitable
Yeah. And
and
happiness
stable.
too.
Yeah,
Like perseverance, I don't know, whatever that phrase is, but like you're building up yourself, and not both your career and being successful, but what is also cool about that is all of your income doesn't come from one place, so you're actually building up multiple different streams where if one gets knocked down, like you said, the pile will kind of fill itself in, and like now. If I at my 9 to 5, if I got fired, I would go from my salary to $0. If one of my clients drops, yeah, it sucks, but I'm not screwed. Like
yeah,
the other will kind of cover it, and then I'll work to build it back up, kind of thing.
exactly.
So
I love that. Well, man, this has been just a phenomenal marketing media brain dump of a podcast.
yeah, how long did we go for? Did you measure it?
Probably about 45, 50
Okay.
minutes.
I lose track. I'm like, have we been talking for 5 minutes or
Yeah,
3 hours? What day is it?
If you could give before we head out here, because I know that your mind's all wrapped up in this marketing. You're doing your best to stay on the front. If you could give to somebody looking to quit their job and start their own thing, what is your like top piece of advice to get your mind straight, like jumping into that? Like,
Man, I mean, honestly, I'm just speaking from my experience, is there's so much fear and anticipation and anxiety leading up to that moment because you've built relationships at your company, they rely on you. It's like it's a little family almost. And what I describe when you leave a company is like you're basically breaking up with like a significant other. Like you're not only cutting ties with them, who are a huge part of your life, you're cutting ties with their friends and their family, and you associate things with them. And it's actually really difficult. But if you think about an abusive relationship, it sucks to get out of it. But then once you're out of it and kind of the dust settles, you're able to sort of start from scratch and move on and find someone new. And, not to sound corny, but like there's plenty of fish in the sea. If there's no reason to ever settle for something that doesn't make you happy. So the hardest part is like the fear of like, oh my God, I have to put my 2 weeks in and I don't know if I'm going to find another thing. Guarantee if you're listening to this, your company will completely move on and they'll be fine. And all the friends you made at the company will still be friends with you, but you'll be able to go and open up new doors that you never even imagined were possible. And they won't be possible if you stay there. But if you leave, it's like Pandora's box. One thing opens and insane amount of opportunities will follow. I guarantee that will happen. So go out there and fucking do it. Woo!
Yeah. Just push through the fear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fear can be a good thing. It sucks when you're in the moment, but afterwards, like, I made it, you know?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Can you tell the people where to find you? Your different social media handles, websites you want to push them to?
Yeah, so it's super conceited, but all my stuff is basically Dylan Welch. So dylanwelch.com, Dylan Welch Media. I figured, you know, might as well brand myself and make it as easy as possible. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. And thank you for having me on. This is awesome. And like, we have to get you on more podcasts and just, you know, kind of expand that circle. And hopefully I can come on again sometime soon.
Absolutely. Shit, man. You can come start your own podcast here. Interview
Yeah.
your own people.
The studio is sick, by the way. So,
Thank
well,
you.
oh yeah, there's a camera there. It's sick. If you're listening, come check it out. Right, just a couple minutes from the beach there.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Some taco places close by.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah. And it's Friday, and it's about that time to wrap it up for the weekend. So, it should be a good time.
Hell yeah. Thank you again,
Awesome,
Dylan.
man.
It was
Thank
a
you very
pleasure.
much. Yeah, I appreciate it.
You got it.